Okay, so this came out about 10 days ago. I didn't even really notice it. But this is basically just the confirmation that we will be getting the league when we thought we were going to get the league, 3.27. About 2 weeks from now, we should have a live stream and a release date, this is amazing. Honestly, it kind of feels like time went by kind of quickly here. I don't know about everybody else, but with this post being made, I figured it was a really good time to give an update on what I'm going to do with the channel for the upcoming league, because obviously, as people have probably noticed, I didn't make any PoE2 content, and I stopped doing PoE1 content because I'm not playing PoE1, because I kind of did everything in the league I wanted to do. So now is a good time, and I have two things to talk about. I have my Discord to talk about, and I also have my upcoming structure for deep dives and sort of the future of the channel in that regard. I really want to say that I appreciate every single person that has watched my content, and especially all the people who have really engaged with it, whether it be leaving comments or coming to the Discord, asking questions or answering questions, all these things. It's been honestly kind of surreal. I think it's great. I love this little community I've started building here, and I kind of haven't even done a lot of the work, it feels like. It's just kind of happening without me having to do much. So that's amazing, and thank you for that. You're going to see me enter full form for the upcoming league. 3.26 was a sort of proof of concept for me, for my YouTube channel. And now it's time to take it very seriously and really push it to the next level and try to be as informative and useful as I possibly can in every way I can for some really unique and fun builds for the best game in the world. So anyway, yeah, let's get it started talking about the Discord. So here is my Discord. I'm going to be honest, I'm really shocked at how this turned out. I just kind of like threw it up and just saw if people would want to join. And let me tell you, when it was in the middle of the league and I was making my videos and stuff, it was popping off in here. I mean, people were just non-stop talking back and forth, and everyone's helping each other, and like, it was amazing. It's like I set this thing up for me to help people, and then what ended up happening is I get all these people, like this guy, for example. I made a role specifically for this, is knowledgeable, because he was helping so many people with the instack and KB stuff. Like, I didn't even have time to respond to people. Like, he would just get to them so fast, and he was giving answers that were the right answers. So, like, shout out to the people here. Honestly, it's been really nice. I haven't had to do anything. To be honest, I haven't had to help anyone. I mean, sometimes, but it's kind of great. Yeah, like, if you want to join here, I'm just gonna like give you a little tour, I guess, because I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. So like, this is just a regular general chat, obviously, but if you have questions and stuff, there's like a dedicated channel for that, and you can see like people do respond very quickly if you put stuff in here. You know, like if someone asks a question, it's like, oh, let's find one. I don't know. Yeah, something like this. Hey guys, is this enough to get minus 200 lightning res? He shows this ring. And then, what was that, 4:28 a.m.? What happens? 4:28 a.m. He gets a response from this Perry guy. I mean, like, this happened all day, every day. So, if you do have questions about the builds I have, not that they can always answer every question about the build, but I can. And you can come in here, you can ask it in here, you can DM me, I don't care. You can DM me, I'm not going to be bothered by it at any point, just go for it. So if you want help, that's another thing. And then guild, we don't have one yet, but we want to get one. I want to get one going. But I also put every POB for every in-league character that I ever had. So like, for example, my earliest instacker, like this is the first thing I made a build guide video off of, I guess, for the instacking. I have the POB here, so every character that I played in the league, save a POB for it and then put it in here, and it will always be here. So I'll put a new one here for the 3.26 or 3.27 whenever that comes around. And also, by the way, this channel, I haven't put anything in here yet because there hasn't been anything, but the featured POBs channel is if somebody has a POB that they have made, or like they want to be featured or something, like if they post it in here and like I look at it and I think it looks really cool, like whoever gets the credit, like I'm just going to post it in here for them and give them the full credit. So it'll be like permanently in here, similar to my stuff here. So if you're interested in that, and then any Atlas Strat stuff will go in here. This is all pretty specialized stuff, so there hasn't been a whole lot of conversations going in here yet. Because honestly, most people when they come in here, they just like go to the general chat and ask in here for help and stuff like that, and so people just get it here. But yeah, this is the Discord, and if you would like to join it, it will be linked in the description. And thank you again. You should become a PoE puppy. So going forward, I found that it would be really useful for me to kind of reconstruct how I'm going to be doing deep dives in the future, because there was a lot of times that I ended up making smaller videos that could have just been content that was already included in the deep dive, and I found it annoying. I didn't want to make those videos, but I always want to make deep dives, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just redo the structure here, and I'm going to include every single thing that I possibly can into deep dives, whether it's something I want to fit in or not. It's just going to be entirely based on whether I think it's relevant or not. And so I'll just go through a small little thing I put together here that's going to show you every single thing that will be included in every single deep dive, and then at the end there will be a small little thing about things that will be included only sometimes specific to specific situations and builds. So the first thing that will always be there, no matter what, and this is probably the most important thing. I don't understand how I got away with doing this before, to be honest, but there will be a build showcase at the beginning of every single video. It will be the first thing you see, which is extremely important. I don't know how I got away with not including that in some of the deep dives I did. That will always be there. And it will always include relevant juiced map strategies for the league. So for example, in the Secrets of the Atlas expansion, there was the Abyss juicing strategy, which is probably the most common one. Therefore, that's the one I use for most of my demos related to any of the characters that I featured previously. And I will never showcase a build that can't kill every single Uber in the game, so there will always be every single Uber included as well. And then every single video will contain a build introduction, in which I'll start with things that will kind of edge you toward or away from the build, just to get this stuff right out of the way. This is like setting it up to be a filter here. It'll start with the pros and cons, what it's good at, what it's bad at, and then what content it's also good and bad at. For example, Molten Strike of the Zenith, on my deep dive, has a pretty deep list of pros and cons, and the content that build excels in is absolutely Delve, and that would be the peak content for that kind of build. So that's an example of what would happen there. And then I could also say at the same time that it doesn't excel at other things like the Abyss strategy. It's really bad for that. So there will be an explanation for that kind of thing. That'll immediately give you a really good idea if it's a build you want to play or not. And then I'm going to do a ranking system, which is something I initially was going to do and then kind of gave up on, but I'm going to return to it because I think this is going to help again with filtering. The first thing I want to mention here is the cost of the build. Anytime I ever bring up a cost of anything for any of these guides, it will always be assuming the price of a 1 to 4 weeks into a league market, because that is like when the market is most steady, most reliable, and probably the time that you're going to invest a lot of currency into a build, right? That's around the time that most people are juicing the game. So that's why the cost will be based on that. And these will all be out of 5. And then I'll do one for clear, how it maps the bossing, how it does Ubers, the complexity of the build, like how easily can a player like make changes to the build and understand the changes without having to get help. Complexity can be a really good thing, by the way. So if it says 5, for example, like maybe the Impending Doom character I had in the last league would be a 4 or 5. For me, that's like super awesome. I love when that's the case, but for some people it could turn you off. And then obviously just fun. You know, how fun is the build, right? That arguably is the most important ranking out of these 5, but anyway, it's there. And then finally for the introduction, I'll just explain the gameplay loop, what it actually looks like and feels like to play the character all day long, because, you know, that's what you're doing. And then I'll explain the mechanics of how the build actually does those things. Then I'll move on to just the skills and links like normal. This is pretty standard stuff at this point. There's not really anything else to go over here. You just throw in whatever you can for this, but I'll just say it's a main. I'm gonna cover the main 6 links. Sometimes there's more than one. If you're like a 2-handed build like Zenith, or if you're a bow or something like that, you're gonna have more than one 6 link usually. Then auras, then movement, then utility, and then miscellaneous, whatever else is still there, like cast when damage taken and stuff like that. And the gear will be very, very similar. However, I'm just going to basically include every single piece of information that I possibly can now. Whether that be the current market listing prices as of recording the video next to every single item, and also a little tiny tooltip somewhere near the items that's going to explain how you can farm the items if you want to, where they come from, and that also gives you a better understanding of the market. For example, like if I for some reason have a build that requires a Sublime Vision with like the Discipline mod, it's like, okay, well that drops from like what the Uber, Shaper, Elder shit where you're just killing the Shaper. Then I'll just include that that's how you find that. And then it'll give you an idea of like, when you know where an item comes from, it allows you to predict its price at any given time in the league a lot better. So it's just a small little useful information piece. But yeah, it'll always have every, like, just like before, it'll have the importance of every affix, every stat on the item, which one's the most important to get to the least. And Eldritch currency options will always be there now. I think that was something I was pretty inconsistent on. And then I'll also have whether the item is craftable or not, or if it's replaceable with a craftable item, if it's a unique. But yeah, so I'll start with mandatory items and how you can acquire those. Basically every unique item will have a how to get it situation. Because that also covers anyone trying to do SSF. Not that I don't really think we're going to have any SSF friendly builds, but it's you know, very little effort to put it in there. Then I'll do the weapons / your shield, just to keep that front and center, get that done quickly. And then you go armor piece by piece. So that's helmet, gloves, body armor, boots. I think that's about it, yeah. And then jewelry, rings, amulets, belt. Like you can wear multiple amulets, yeah. Amulets, plural. And then jewels for the skill tree and ear flasks. And the passive tree is pretty simple. I mean, you just like, I'm just going to show you recommended trees. I'm going to show you the ones I think that are good. And I'll also have I will take every single stat that the passive tree gives you, which is a lot of stats, obviously. But I'll literally just rank every single one of them from 1 to whatever, which is the most important stat to be trying to pick up on the tree, just in case you're trying to find stuff for yourself. And on that note, I'm also going to show you how to find solutions or options for your passive tree on PoE Ninja related to the specific build that the deep dive is about. So it's extremely helpful to use PoE Ninja. It's the best tool in the world. And then lastly, the miscellaneous section. This is going to be your stuff like Pantheons. I'm going to show my in-league character overview with POB, which, by the way, like, I think during that section I'll probably mention how to configure the build in POB. So just I'll have that, like, I'll have it timestamped, of course, but yeah. Then I'll put any crafting guides that I possibly can. This is something I didn't really include in most videos in the past. Was crafting guides for a lot of the stuff. I'm going to fit them in every single time that I can now, if it's something I actually understand how to craft. And then if there is a league-specific character power creep, such as mercenaries, for example, then I'll cover that as well in the miscellaneous section. And then if it's needed, and by the way, there's probably some things I missed that will end up being in the deep dive that aren't on this, because like I'm sure I'm missing some things that I'm going to end up remembering to put in later. But yeah, this is just like an idea of what you're going to see for the structures every time. But yeah, so if needed, there will be alternate setups for like content variety. So for example, in my Zenith deep dive I provided an alternate setup using Lightning Strike of Arcing to do some pretty juice mapping. I was doing breach risk with it, and it felt really good. So like that was an example of an alternate setup, because if you didn't do that, it felt really bad. Like Zenith is not a great skill for clearing like an entire screen. So you can get it there, but it takes a long time. And then budget setups if it's applicable, and the future of the build. So for example, int stacking KB, which is the most popular content I have in this channel, will be getting a video from me in the very near future. It's something you can expect from me, actually, on how to actually approach doing the instacking without a mercenary. Because people are going to have a real wake-up call if they try to roll into Instack KB without a mercenary with the budgets that they were doing it on in this league. So I'd like to make a video covering how you can actually do that and how much money you actually need. So that's an example of the future of the build example here. If I foresee something, like if I had to redo the Instack KB deep dive right now, I would include that and say, here's what's going to happen with the mercenary being gone. So it's obviously possible that the mercenary remains, but it's not happening. Okay, guys, like I'm making this video before I even see the league. It's coming. So yeah, so that will be the future for the deep dives, and this will be the #1 most common thing that I do. You can probably expect less videos, but much higher quality and much more depth. That way there is no coming back to random different little videos. Instead, you just get a full come back to this one thing and get it right here. All of it, all you need. And if for some reason there's something that I didn't include, my Discord is a really good solution to solving that issue. So anyway, yeah, look forward to the future of this channel. If you were interested before, it's going to be even better in the future. This upcoming league, I'm going into full form mode. So thank you.